This has to be one of the most embarrassing clips Bill Maher has ever put out, and he put out a lot of doozies. This is Bill Maher addressing something Jack Posobiec said at CPAC, where Jack made a joke, very obviously, about ending democracy. It's a very obvious joke. The way he said it, he was chuckling. Everyone in the crowd was laughing. Bill Maher took it seriously because he's not a smart man. He doesn't do research. He just saw a quote and didn't understand the context, probably because the quote came from CNN or MSNBC, and his staff are too stupid, and Bill Maher is too lazy to actually watch the clip. It's embarrassing. Bill Maher's got many doozies, such as when Dennis Prager came on the show and said that there are leftists claiming men menstruate. And Bill and all of the liberals go, ho, 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 as if they didn't know, because perhaps they didn't. Sure enough, when this show aired, several years prior, there had been numerous mainstream corporate press, high-profile, well-funded outlets with millions of views saying men do menstruate. And there you are. Bill Maher doesn't know how to use Google. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to play this clip for you so you can laugh. And it's fascinating because I have to wonder, when I was younger, when I was 19, I watched Bill Maher all the time. My friends loved it. The question is, was he always this lazy and stupid? I don't see why we should assume he was ever better at his job than he is today. I think the issue is we just didn't have the same level of communication to realize Bill Maher is not a very smart person. Well, here's the clip. Myth Informed has it, and I'll play it for you now.
Do you know what that is? That is the conservative, what is it?
Unfortunately.
What is PAC?
Political Action Committee.
Political Action Committee. Okay.
Yeah.
It's their big convention every year. It's like corporations have a big convention. They have their big convention. I made jokes about it every year. I can't remember the last time we did it. It goes way back. I remember once calling it the Woodstock for the mentally impaired.
The Woodstock for the mentally impaired. Now listen to what the crowd and the guests say when Bill Maher is this dumb.
And but in years past, it was like the most conservative commentators and senators and governors. And okay, this year, there's a guy, I've heard this name, I don't know who he is, Jack Posobiec. He's doing sort of like a roundtable discussion. It's a convention, they have these things.
He was on stage.
This is a quote. "Welcome to the end of democracy. We are here to overthrow it completely. We didn't get all the way there on January 6th, but we will endeavor to get rid of it." Am I missing an irony here? Am I missing a joke? Or is it, as it seems now, they are saying the quiet part out loud?
Oh, these people are insane! Even reading it dryly, we are welcome to the end of democracy. We're here to overthrow it. We didn't quite get there on January 6th, but we will endeavor. Even reading it as dry as you can, welcome to the end. There's no way you can say that without someone being like, ha, ha, ha.
Yeah. That they are not. This is CPAC. This is Republican, conservative, their big convention. And you have a guy like this and the crowd is loving it. Welcome to the end of democracy. We're here to overthrow it. January 6th was good. Now we're going to finish the job. Thoughts?
It's scary.
Thoughts on that?
Bill, that was a joke about Trump making a joke about being a dictator day one in office. That is an ironic take on how the liberal
that was
media
my question. Am I missing the irony?
Conservatives. I think so, yes. It's a joke.
Really?
But, yeah, and I think more,
Oh,
more
my
to the point.
God.
To you, Bill, and to
Keep your day job, Jack.
No, Bill, you should quit your day job. I'm flabbergasted. I want to play that last little bit again.
It's scary.
Thoughts on that?
Bill, that was a
They all laugh, ha ha.
joke about Trump making a joke about being a dictator day one in office. That is an ironic take on how the liberal
that was
media
my question. Am I missing the irony?
Conservative.
Oh, this is Jack Posobiec. Jack, you have scored some kind of Inception level mockery of liberal political pundits. I am in awe. I am jealous of the sheer accomplishment of Jack Posobiec here. Let me break this one down for you. Jack was making a rather simple joke. They accuse the right of trying to overthrow democracy and all this other stuff. So he goes on stage and makes the simple joke. We're here to overthrow democracy, right? That's what they're saying about us. Let's elaborate. That's the general idea. They claim you want to overthrow it. Sure, that's the plan. We almost did it on January 6th. Ha, ha, ha. The joke was he is insulting the likes of Bill Maher. Bill Maher walks face first into a wall. That is Jack Posobiec's joke. And Jack scored some kind of like double hit. It's as though the batter in the baseball swung one time, but hit 2 home runs somehow. I can't even. I can't even. Bill Maher walking right into a joke meant to insult people like Bill Maher, to which we now insult him further, is just absolutely insane. And his audience laughing about it. Wow. You see, this is what's wrong with Democrats in this country. Even the likes of Bill Maher, who is anti-woke to a certain degree, he is too lazy and too stupid to do the work. And again, I know people often say, Tim, if you insult these people, they'll never come on your show. I'm not sure I care. I've had people, as I mentioned before, say, Tim, you got to go on Bill Maher's show. And I'm like, why? You know, look, I host a show. It is consistently the largest live audience on YouTube for the slot, which, to be fair, like doesn't say as much. You know, cable TV used to get way more live viewers, but we're averaging around like 45,000 a night right now in an election year. Once we get closer to November, it'll probably be massive because we saw in 2020. This is basically our Olympics, right? The election is here. This is what we do when we talk politics. So we have a decently large show. And I have people say, Tim, why don't you go on Bill Maher? And I say, for the same reason I don't go and debate 6th graders. It's a waste of my time to sit in a room in front of a bunch of gawking, ignorant individuals who lack the capability to do basic research. Bill Maher knows so little about politics, so absolutely little, it would serve no one for I or anyone else to go on his show. That being said, Real Time. Club Random, I've actually offered to actually go on Club Random. I'll tell you why. My point about Real Time with Bill Maher is that he's got poorly researched bits. That's Batya Ungar Sargon, who's pointing out, Bill, that's a joke. How does he not see that? Because he's lazy, he doesn't care, and he's going for grifter points. Why would I want to go on Real Time where you get some ignorant liberals who will probably outright lie, won't fact check, and the audience will just laugh along like clowns, like children clapping along to a clown throwing a pie? It accomplishes nothing. In fact, it makes things worse. That being said, Club Random, I will sit in a chair and have a conversation with the man, and I will say everything I'm saying now to his face. Unfortunately, my willingness to have said these things likely precludes me from ever appearing on that show. Bill Maher was coming to D.C., and we reached out to see if he'd be willing to come on the show. He said, no, that I don't blame him for. He was doing a comedy show. You don't want to do a late night talk show before you're getting ready to do stand-up or whatever. So I can respect that. I can. Same is true for Hassan or any other leftist. They don't owe me to come on my show, and they host their own shows. They're busy people. Totally get it. For the same reason, I don't go on other people's shows all that often. But we reached out to Bill to have him on either IRL or the Culture War podcast at his any earliest convenience. And his people said, unfortunately, we just don't have the schedule. We can't do it. So we said, when can you? And they said, we don't know when Bill will be available on the East Coast. And we said, no problem. We will bring our mobile production studio to California, and Bill can simply walk in a trailer for 2 hours. And they said no. Why? Because Bill Maher will be humiliated. I will say that again. If Bill Maher were to ever sit down with me one-on-one, it would be humiliating for the man. And this is why we even said, how about Tim goes on Club Random and Bill? No, they won't do it. For the same reason that many other leftists will not come on this show. They will be humiliated. Bill Maher, I think, will be particularly humiliated. I mean, this is embarrassing. Look, I'm going to play this again.
Was my question. Am I missing the irony?
Conservatives, I think so.
This is my question. Am I missing the irony here? Oh, you can see it in his face. He's realizing he just read a line that was an obvious joke with Jack Posobiec chuckling as he said it to an audience laughter. And he is so cult-minded and stupid. He walked right into it. You know what he was thinking right there? When Badia said, Bill, that's a joke. Bill's thinking, my writers, these writers, they just screwed me. I'm on TV and it was an obvious joke. Boy, do I look stupid. So what's his only saving grace?
Conservatives, I think so. Yes, it's a joke.
Really?
But yeah, and I think more to the point. To you, Bill, and to
keep your day job, Jack.
Keep your day job, Jack. That's it. Poor little old Bill could only say, well, your joke wasn't funny. I laughed. When you watch the video, Jack's chuckling as he makes this. I got to be honest. When Jack said that joke, we're here to overthrow democracy. We didn't get there on January 6th, but, we will endeavor. It's, no offense, Jack. It's kind of an obvious joke. It's not like we didn't expect the punchline. It is the obvious quip against the liberal media. I don't even think Jack spent a lot of time coming up with it. He probably came up with it off the top of his head and was like, that's funny. I'll do that bit as I'm at CPAC. And he did. And we all chuckled and moved on. And the left, in their ever insanity, were like, they want to overthrow democracy. And Bill, here's what happened. I'll tell you. Bill's got staff, and they're really stupid. And they heard this on CNN, and they heard them say, could you believe it? At CPAC, they're saying they'll overthrow democracy. And then you get Micah Brzezinski being like, and there it is. They've admitted it. The producer then writes, for Bill Maher, look at this. They said they want to overthrow democracy. And Bill's like, wow. And then Bill goes on his show and in complete buffoonery is humiliated because he was too lazy to do a Google search. Because if you watched the clip, he'd be like, what are you talking about? The guy's joking. It's clearly not literal. He's not giving a speech and banging his fist on a podium. Yep. You gotta love it. These poor, pathetic morons. Look, man, I'm willing to have that conversation with Bill Maher, but he is so past his prime and out of the loop and incompetent, lazy, incapable, and ignorant. I'm not saying he's not without talent. I'm saying at this point in his career, look, man, let me tell you, it happens to everybody. It really does. Okay. When I was in my 20s, when I was my late teens skateboarding, I'd jump off a building. Don't you forget it. Now I'm going to be 38 in 4 days. And now I mostly just do basics. I got a handful of tricks I'm pretty good at. I can still jump really high. It's still there, Tony Hawk's in his 50s and he still got it. He's not doing 900s like he used to. But you see, when you get older, you start to, it just happens to everybody. And so I'm 38, man. I'm well into aging territory. I know I'm not as old as a lot of older people. I get these people who are 50s like, you're a young man. I'm like, look, I think it's cute when old people say 38 is young, but let's be real. Aging sets in between around 28 to 32 or whatever is when you are no longer regenerating at maximum capacity. So I'm certainly not old, but I'm not going to pretend like I'm going to be throwing myself off buildings and competing in the X Games. Bill Maher, how old is this guy? Let's pull up. He's in his 60s, right? Bill Maher, 68 years old. He's nearly 70 years old. Look, Bill, you've lost touch. You're tired. You're no longer doing the work. And you're making a fool of yourself. At a certain point, you just say, I'm done. Now, I'll tell you. In the Timcast timeline, there's no real prime moment just yet, being 38, but there was a period where I worked every single day with no days off. And for the first year, maybe even the first 2 years, I think it was the first year of Timcast IRL, I worked Sunday to Monday. That means every single day I had my morning show, an hour and 40 minutes. Monday through Friday, we had Timcast IRL, but we weren't doing the members only. So this means I was working from about 8 to 4 p.m. and then eating, and I wasn't exercising as much. and then doing IRL at night. I would get to bed a little bit earlier because we weren't doing the members only. So now we still have added the extra hour, but now I don't work on weekends. But IRL is bigger than it's ever been. Granted, 2020, end of 2020 was massive and it was insane, but that was a huge moment in 2020. We'll see what happens as this year progresses. My point is, there will come a time where I recognize I'm going to start slowing down, focusing more on family, and I won't be doing the show as heavy as I do it today. I have no problem. I'll put it this way. If I was 68 years old, hosting Timcast IRL, and I had heard that someone screamed, "I will destroy this country and burn it to the ground," I'd say, are they being for real with this? Like, what's going on? We had a moment a couple of years ago where Jacobin magazine, for which I subscribe, had a picture of Joe Biden as Jesus, and we made fun of it. Within a few minutes, we got corrected by the audience saying, "Guys, they're being ironic. You missed the joke." And I laughed and said, I was like, "My bad. I didn't realize that Jacobin, because there were many leftists who were saying, Joe Biden, you got to vote for him. I didn't realize they were insulting him. And that's on me." But we were reading all this stuff in real time. That's an issue of looking at an image and missing the context. Bill Maher got this secondhand, because if he actually looked at the image, he would have realized Jack was joking. And that's the point. It's fair to say we all make mistakes. It's fair to say you can misinterpret things. But when we pulled up the Jacobin cover, I was looking at it being like, are these people serious? Like, is this real? I can't believe these people praise this guy the way they do. I wasn't familiar with Jacobin magazine. And I'm willing to admit, I'm not free from fault here. We've gotten things wrong all the time. But Bill Maher didn't even bother to Google search this. And the point here is he does this a lot. Now, far be it for me to say everyone's perfect. Again, we have our mistakes, but you get to a certain point where you're commenting on politics without reading the news, and you start to look like a moron. And that, Bill Maher, is where you're currently at. And I think he knows it. I think Bill, when he winced and was like, "Did I miss something here?" And she's like, "Yes," like, "Well, that's what I meant. I mean, I was asking, did I miss something?" No, you didn't. No, that's not what you meant. You thought it was real because someone handed you a card. You didn't look into it at all. You came on and you put on your clown costume and you juggled because you're 68. You should basically be retired at this point. You don't care about what's going on in politics. You're half paying attention and you just got embarrassed. Jeez. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up. What is it? Next segment at 6 p.m. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.